Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Drive Real-Time SAP Supply Chain Visibility with out-of-the-box solution Prebuilt, built on the Neptune platform. My name is Dirk Smith, and I'm from Neptune Software, and I will be your host for today. As a starting point, just a housekeeping rule, we only have 30 minutes of this webinar, so please direct all questions to the chat of the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, or please direct those questions to your Neptune or config team representative. With that, please allow me to introduce you to the config team who's going to be doing some of the presentations today. Starting off, Mike Nicklin. Mike is the Neptune account manager at the config team. Mike has got over 20 years experience in SAP, both from an end user and partner perspective. Our second speaker is Danny Clark. Danny is an SAP consultant for the config team. He is an experienced SAP EWM functional consultant with a history in working in warehouse management and in the consumer goods industry. He has been involved in several EWM distribution and warehouse implementation projects. And finally, with a very strong technical background, Jeff Gray is the project manager at the config team. He heads up the product team at the config team, and he has a passion of making SAP simpler for his customers. With that, I would like to hand over to Mike, who's going to start with his discussion. Mike?
Thanks, Dirk. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's webinar. So today I'm going to be giving a brief introduction to the config team, and then I'm going to talk about some of the issues that we're seeing in the supply chain today, and then introduce our product called Prebuilt, which we hope is a solution to some of those issues. At that point, I will hand over to my colleague Danny, who will run through a series of demonstrations of the product. And then Danny will hand over to Jeff, who will discuss the benefits of the product for your business and also the future innovations for the product that we are working on. And then at the end, there will be a chance for some questions and answers. So the config team are a team of SAP supply chain specialists who have been around since 1994. The team was started by one man, Andrew Moses, who is still very much involved in our business as our managing director. We now have around about 100 people in the team, and we are actively working with over 75 customers around the world. We have a dedicated core product team. The results of their work you will be seeing today, and they deliver SAP certified products. We're also an SAP Gold partner and have recently retained our Investors in People Gold status. Our business can be summarized by the triangle on the left-hand side, which shows SAP consultancy, support, enhanced solutions, which we'll be talking about today with Prebuilt, everything being underpinned by innovation and a desire to make SAP easier to use. So I mentioned business challenges in the supply chain. We offer a health check service and for warehouses where we go around and we floor walk and we find out issues that are currently happening in the warehouse. And we're seeing quite a few common themes. Manual processes, you can see lots of paperwork there, lots of human error leading to data inaccuracy and an inefficient supply chain. We're also seeing very complex IT architecture, long projects that are very difficult and timely to deploy with a lack of flexibility. And once the projects have been deployed, it's very difficult and costly to make changes. And where companies have invested in mobility solutions, we're now seeing that technology is outdated with connectivity issues, complex training requirements, leading to poor staff onboarding and engagement. Touching on those existing mobility solutions a little bit further, I'm sure that many people on the call are familiar with the screen on the left-hand side there, the ITS mobile screen, and it looks horrible. There are fields there that are grayed out, not being used. The buttons are very small, so there's a high potential for human error. And if I did want to move one of those buttons and make it into a better place, it would be a very difficult change involving a very busy ABAP team. So that solution looks very outdated, but this is SAP's solution for mobility. Fiori is available, but is not a direct replacement for that screen there. So how do we move from that kind of screen on the left to this kind of screen on the right, which our users are more used to seeing on their everyday Android and iOS based devices? The answer is Prebuilt. This is our out-of-the-box suite of mobile applications for the supply chain. We go across the supply chain, starting with purchase requisition and purchase order approval, all the way through to proof of delivery, last mile logistics, and even returns logistics. Today, we're going to be concentrating on the warehouse section, so inventory management, warehouse management, and stockroom management. And all of these applications come with KPI and Analytics as part of the standard license, therefore available at no extra cost. So with that, I think there's enough of me talking. I think you would like to see this product. So with that, I will hand over to my colleague, Danny Clark.
Brilliant, thanks, Mike. So the demonstration today will be focusing on the Prebuilt WM stockroom management applications. The applications that have been the demonstrations have been pre-recorded as well using a Honeywell CT60 handheld device. And I'll be playing the role of the warehouse operative. All the barcode scanning is done using the device, and where applicable, I'll jump back into SAP to show the result. So the process begins with the inbound goods receipt. So the operator logs onto their device using their standard SAP authorizations and logon details. And with Prebuilt, we can add a 4-digit PIN as well, so to speed that process up. So the operator can log in with using their 4-digit PIN. It also means it speeds up all future logging in and logging off. We can navigate through to the inbound menu, goods receipts, and in this field we can scan the purchase order document or the inbound delivery. Again, all of these fields are completely configurable, which we'll show later on. So we can add a reference document to this, and we're going to use the purchase order as a reference, and we'll use this later as well. So we'll process the items. So the operator can see we've got 2 pallets to scan, and we can go ahead and scan the first pallet label. In SAP, it's termed as the handling unit. So we've scanned the pallet label and we add it to the basket. So if we go and have a look in the basket, this will show that we're expecting the 2 handling units. The first one is verified and the second one isn't. So if we then add a second handling unit, scan the barcode and just add that to the basket. So within SAP, we are unloading the vehicle and we are now making it ready to goods receipt. So once we do a post, that's now updated the document in SAP. So within the standard GUI transaction for inbound delivery, we can see that the status overview now is updated as confirmed. So now we've unloaded the vehicle into the goods receipt area. We also have the KPI Analytics tool that Mike touched upon. So SAP is an awesome tool. It's full of data, but you have to jump between multiple transactions to extract that key metric or those key metric data to be able to make some key decisions. So the KPI Analytics tool pulls all of those key metrics within your organization, your operation, and displays it in one place, meaning that you have a real-time view of your operation. So as we've now got stock in put away, let's just go in. So the operator can navigate to KPI Analytics. All of these metrics are set to green, amber, and red. So once it goes past a particular threshold, it will change to amber and into red. And also the icons as well are available, with 600 available. We can also drill down even further and see in this example the outbound deliveries. We can see what ones are open and what status. And we have 16 put away tasks or transfer orders that are open. So we'll scroll down and go to HR3 and we'll display the source data. So the operator is going to focus on transfer order 1274. So from the pallets we've just unloaded, we're now going to put one of those away. So go back through the menu into internal and then confirm open transfer orders. So again, all of these fields can be manipulated and moved using our easy configuration layer. If there's particular information you don't need to see, can be hidden and make the screens as slick as possible. So we scan the storage unit, or the pallet label, and then the final destination is then shown on the screen, and the forklift driver can take the pallet to that location, confirm the barcode, and then the task transfer order is updated. Okay, so that's confirmed. Then, if we just navigate back to the KPI menu just to show the that it's interacted and updated, and it's refreshed, dropped from 16 to 15. So the refresh time as well can be set to anything within your organization, so as quick or as slow as you need it. So now we've done the unload and we've done the put away. There's actually been a non-conformance found during the put away process, and we need to register that and send it back so that the someone in head office can deal with that with the vendor. So at this point, the operator can go into the inbound menu and our document capture application. We can use that purchase order number we used earlier as a reference. And then within here, we can now add key information. So we're going to capture an image. So there's a non-conformance within the warehouse. Let's capture that. And then once we upload that, that will upload directly into SAP, again in real time. So we're updating SAP as it goes. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll just add a signature using the touchscreen facility on the device. And again, with SAP, from the screen that Mike showed earlier, where you have the buttons in different places, we've removed the need for buttons, and we have the three-dot menu at the bottom. There we go, and then we can just sign the screen. And again, upload that to SAP. So if we just go into the purchase order, and in the services for objects at the top, we can take the attachment list and see the two items that we've just added. And again, just there they are, so captured within SAP. And again, where we have things like our company logo and stuff, you can have your logo there, so it's completely manipulable. There we go. Okay, so we've registered a non-conformance with that stock. So that stock now needs to be moved somewhere else because potentially it's leaking. So what the operator can do as well is we can use the stock inquiry feature and investigate where that stock currently is in the warehouse. We can then create a bin-to-bin move and move it to the new location, and we'll just confirm that that transfer has just happened. So again, using the device, we can go into stock inquiry. We can scan the storage unit number, and again, where the keypad pops up, we can configure it so that if there's an entry that needs to be added in there, whether it's alphanumeric or just numbers, we can just show it on there so it pops up and you just add in the relevant information. So we've seen the storage bin was 133. We now just scan the handling unit now, or the pallet label, and we're going to create a new storage bin. So it's currently 133. We'll change that now to a new storage bin location. And we've also checked the box to confirm it immediately. So instead of just creating it as an open transfer order for somebody else to do, we're now going to confirm that all the way through. So we're just confirming the area and the task is completed. So if we just go back into the stock inquiry application and scan that pallet label one more time, we'll see that it's now moved from 133 into 145. So all of these screens, as we've mentioned a few times now, that they are completely configurable. So what's shown on the right hand side is my Honeywell device, and it's got a lot of information on that screen, and it might be too much for what you want the operator to see. So you might want to hide particular fields. You might also want to make some of the fields larger, so that the important text that the person needs to see can be larger. So for example, the final destination bin, you might want to make that really large to make sure that you don't have an issue or an error where somebody puts it away to the wrong location. As you could see in our system, we have 3 different storage types that have the same storage bin. So again, there's like a possibility for error to be made there. So by having that information pop out, you can really see that you're showing exactly where you need to go. So you can also add things as well, like hint text. So where you can see on the material, it says enter material, EAN or description. Again, you can put business-centric information in there. If you have a busy label that has multiple barcodes or multiple information, you might want to give the operator a hint as to which barcode needs to be scanned or which information is relevant. You can add things like badges, but also as well things like serial numbers. And if you want to hide or reposition any of those, we can do it all within the easy configuration. So we'll just run a short demonstration on this. So what we're going to do is on that transfer order screen again, so where we are scanning the pallet label, and we're going to confirm that into its end destination bin of 238. What we're going to do is we're going to hide some of that information because we don't really need to see the destination storage type on this one. So what we'll do is we'll just make that editable. We'll hide the first field, which the position, we can see position 1. And we're going to change the label color, the tag inside, we're going to change the size and also the color. And then it's as simple as we just check the box and then save. And then on the right hand side, that interaction is immediate to SAP. And then once we come out and go back into the transaction, we can see straight away that the tag has changed to red, and the field inside is now larger and also in red. Okay. That ends the demonstration, so I'm going to hand over to Jeff now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Danny, and good morning, everyone. So in terms of what we've just seen in terms of the configuration, what we've built here in terms of the IM and WM area is a bunch of applications that span the different business processes within these areas. Okay, and these are being built ground up by the config team. And what we've got is a lot of consistency across the different applications. Okay, so these applications are pre-packaged applications made up of all the different building blocks, but all the apps themselves have a consistent way of operating. Okay, and what we've got the ability to do is also configure the same underlying applications for different areas of the business. So if we take an example of one of our applications called stock movements, this can be configured to utilize in a put away process, or also it can be utilized to be in a bin to bin or a stock movement type scenario as well. Okay. In addition to that, we can also incorporate different functionality within these applications as well and link into other applications. So as Danny showed before, the document capture application, which is the ability to use image capture or image display, what we can do is link in from that stock movements application, jump into the application to capture the image, and then go back into the stock movements to complete the transfer order confirmation. Okay, so there's complete flexibility in terms of the solution, and we also cover a lot of the functionality that's available in SAP. So things like storage unit management, handling unit management, batches, those types of configuration. Okay, so that just gives you a bit of a concept of in terms of how the solution's built, but there's lots of flexibility, and it underpins how the SAP configuration is set up within your system. In terms of the different types of devices that we can deploy onto, so Prebuilt supports things like ruggedized handhelds, so things like Android devices, but we also have live sites with mobile phones, forklift truck mounts, tablets, wearables, etc. And in terms of what we also have the ability to do is configure the solution to have different configuration for different types of devices. So if you take an example of a ruggedized handheld, you might have a small screen So you want a limited number of fields on those screens, but then if you're using a forklift truck mount, you might want more information on the screen. That can be completely flexible, okay? So in terms of the different devices, there's complete flexibility in terms of what we can deploy onto. And I mentioned just before around the wearables, this is an area that we're also looking at and working into our roadmap now with devices coming out from Zebra, such as the HD 4000, and also the RealWear device that's available on the market today. The final point on that is that we also work across SAP ECC and S4HANA. Okay, now we've talked about the configuration, the applications, what they can do, and the challenges today. But what does it mean to the business? Okay, so from an operational standpoint, some of the following areas what we focus on. So it's all around removal of paperwork. So taking away manual pick sheets, taking away any excess paperwork and removing that as much as possible. Reducing stock take time. So all around real-time visibility within the supply chain and getting that stock accuracy as close to that 100% as possible with the real-time solution. Okay. Danny talked about how simple it is to configure. SAP has a lot amount of acronyms, and what we can do is really simplify that by using more business-centric terminology and simplifying those screens. And what we find is that also increases productivity and reduces the training time to get people up to speed on the solution. And what we're really focused on is around that overall operational efficiency. So all these contributing factors to make it as efficient as possible within any site, warehouse, manufacturing plant, or distribution center. So in terms of what we talked about in terms of the configuration and the Lego concept and things like that, what we're really focused on is the great platform that Neptune provides, but turning that into a no-code solution. So in terms of being able to drop in an application or a suite of applications very quickly, there's no ABAP development required. It's just configuration. So it puts it into the hands of the functional consultants to tailor it and to configure it to a customer's needs. Okay. And what this means is that this provides really quick ROI to get a solution up and running and providing that operational benefit. Okay. This also means that it's, what we're seeing with SAP projects can go on for years. What we're seeing in the marketplace, that this can be deployed in days and up to 10 times faster than applications today. Okay. And we've got a recent example of that where we had a customer that from initial contact to delivery of the solution was in 4 weeks. So it just shows how quickly this can be deployed. Okay. And it's really hassle-free as well. So it's a fully maintained, upgradable and supported solution with a future-proof roadmap. So as SAP brings new versions in S4HANA, etc., this will be supported going forward. And the final point on that as well is there's flexibility in terms of the SAP solution that you've got in place today. So if you've got IM, WM or EWM or other modules that interleave within there, this can be deployed, and there's also the ability to move between different types of SAP modules too. So I'm just going to hand back to Mike now to wrap us up for this session.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks, Danny, also for the demonstrations. So in summary, Prebuilt is an out-of-the-box, highly configurable product located within your SAP system. So it sits within your current SAP system, be that ECC6 or be it S4HANA. There's no need for an interface, no need for any middleware. And also the emphasis is on configuration. So no ABAP development required. It is in the hands of the functional consultants. It offers a world-class user experience, which really helps to increase employee engagement, which leads to increased productivity, and crucially also reduce that training time. No need for classroom sessions. It can be trained in a matter of minutes sometimes. It offers enhanced functionality. So I talked earlier on about ITS Mobile. If you are using ITS Mobile in the warehouse and you encounter a dead spot in the Wi-Fi, the user would be kicked out and they would have to log back in, and it would be infuriating. Prebuilt will hold that connection until it finds a suitable Wi-Fi connection and then process the transaction. It also offers mobility support for inventory management, which isn't available as standard in SAP. As Danny demonstrated, we also offer image capture and display. Very important for vendor compliance and quality control, but can also help with picking transactions. And finally, the whole software comes equipped with KPIs and analytics that are linked to the user role authorizations of the users. So, for example, a warehouse operative would see information on their device relevant to their queue and their daily tasks, whereas a supply chain director would see information across various warehouses and even various sites, all delivered in real time. So that's all that we have to present today. All that's left to say is many thanks for attending and listening. And I will hand back to Dirk. I think there is an opportunity to ask any questions, but please get in touch. You can see my contact details there. I'm also available on LinkedIn as well. Over to you, Dirk.
Thank you very much to the config team, Danny, Jeff, Mike, for showing us a very in-depth look of the Prebuilt solution. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the config team has really put in some thought in order to provide a solution in depth in the supply chain management world as this. And as Mike mentioned, we do have some time for 1 or 2 questions. So I'm going to direct the questions to all 3 of you gentlemen. The first question is, does it also work with Z transactions?
Jeff, do you want to come in on that one?
Keep in mind you might be on mute.
I was on mute. Good morning, everyone. Again, so it's Jeff here. So yeah, we've got a number of options with Z transactions of how we can move that onto the pre-built solution. We've got tools to be able to convert, but also there's routes to be able to deploy our standard applications as well. And the way we build the applications is that we incorporate what we call enhancement points, so that we can deliver standard functionality, but then extend it if there's any specific Z tables or functionality that customer might need.